Welcome to the latest edition of Kernels from the Cornfield. No huffs, no hauls, no shucks. News with a dash of commentary to spice up your fare for Wednesday, July 16th, 2014. Not jobs, not the economy, not healthcare. Immigration is now the top focus of Americans, according to a new poll from Gallup. While only 17% believe that immigration is the top concern facing the nation, it was ahead of other issues and concerns. The poll found that dissatisfaction with the government was the second worry, with 16%. The economy was next with 15%. Jobs was an issue for 14%. Healthcare lagged behind with only a nod from 8%. Where do you stand on the issues and concerns? What is your chief worry? Cold War redux? Russia is reportedly going to reopen a listening station or a spy base in Cuba. The former base was closed by the Russians in 2001 for economic reasons and because there had been a thaw in U.S.-Russo relations. With the Russian invasion and annexation of Crimea, along with threats to the rest of Ukraine, the frost is once more on the pumpkin. The chill has led to tense conditions between the White House and the Kremlin. It is said that the agreement to reopen the listening post took place during Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit last week to Havana. The base was originally opened in 1964, following the Cuban Missile Crisis, which teetered the world on the head of a nuclear war. CDC perils. Sounds more like the perils of Pauline. In details coming out at a congressional hearing today, in which Centers for Disease and Infection Director Dr. Tom Frieden testified about shortcomings in the nation's, nay world's, top health protection facility. Each word, each new phrase revealed more horrors and missteps at the CDC and its facilities throughout the country. Some are calling it hubris. Some are calling the CDC doctors and scientists are saying that they have become complacent. For such a trusted organization to shine the spotlight on its own shortcomings is both miraculous and scary. What if one of those Ziploc bags ripped? What if that deadly bird flu was released into the atmosphere? Say it ain't so. Archie, the classic American comic book star, was shot and killed by a would-be assassin in the latest issue of Life with Archie. Archie died as he lived, ever true to his friends. Archie took a bullet meant for his friend, openly gay Senator Kevin Keller. For those of us born in the 1950s and raised in the 1960s, Archie was us. We all could relate to the teen's trials navigating high school. We all had a friend like Jughead. We all had our own double trouble of Betty and Veronica. We all had a Reggie who rubbed us the wrong way and always tried to best us at everything. But this was the adult version of Archie. Years after high school, this was an alternate Archie than the one we grew up with. The Archie we all loved will go on, still trapped in high school at Riverdale. For more insights into why the writers decided to kill off Archie and what it means for the future of everybody's favorite teenager, catch the article on CNN.com by iReport team member Henry Hanks. Successful publicity stunt? I reported in yesterday's Kernels about undocumented immigrant Jose Antonio Vargas being detained by the Border Patrol in McAllen, Texas. Vargas was released last night after Kernels went to print. I had asked what Vargas had expected after being so out about being illegal. Apparently Vargas got what he asked for in being detained. Rather than keep Vargas behind bars and made more of a martyr, the U.S. government decided to release Vargas. But will Vargas help or hurt the immigration debate? Vargas claims the incident in detention was not a stunt. Death penalty, unconstitutional. A federal judge ruled today that California's death penalty is unconstitutional, even though there has been a moratorium on executions since 2006. The judge said that the uncertainty of not knowing if or when executions would be restarted amounted to cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the Constitution. An appeal by the state is expected. Another ceasefire? The United Nations has called for a cessation of hostile activity between Israel and Hamas in Gaza on humanitarian grounds. The Israelis have agreed to pause for 5 hours before any more airstrikes, but Hamas has yet to acknowledge the call for a ceasefire. If true to form, Hamas will answer by either continued lobbying of rockets into Israel or putting the brakes on the launches for a period of time. Hamas is claiming the Israelis committed a war crime when 5 children were killed on the beach during an airstrike. Meanwhile, the American teen who was beaten by Israeli police during a skirmish in the West Bank will be returning home to Florida later today. Sanction this. The U.S. has hit Russia today with more sanctions over the continued threats to Ukraine. President Barack Obama is expected at any time to address the new sanctions against Russia. The Pentagon is reporting, contrary to Russian claims a couple of weeks ago of withdrawing troops from the Ukrainian border, the Russians are reinforcing those troops. Stock market fantasia? The stock market continues to live in the clouds and soar above the reality in most of the U.S. of A. Today, once more, the Dow Industrial Average set a new record. Stocks keep climbing, while according to Gallup and Pew, around 68% of Americans do not feel an uptick in the economy, but a downward or no change in the economic climate. Fox News CNN merger? Even if the Time Warner board had agreed to a buyout offer from News Corp CEO Rupert Murdoch, there would not be an integration of Fox News and CNN. CNN would have been put on the auction block. Although the board refused the deal, Murdoch is not known to give up and go home. It is expected he may attempt a hostile takeover. In the meantime, Comcast continues its attempt to buy out one of its main rivals, Time Warner. Well, that's what caught my attention for Wednesday, July 16, 2014. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of Kernels from the Cornfield. I'm Mark Ivy. Good evening.